Hello and happy Friday from beautiful Thailand. I hope you can see me clearly and hear me. So it's Feature Friday time again, and I just realized that I'm a little bit dark, but I hope this is still working. It's our first Feature Friday this year, and since it's still fairly new the year, I thought we start off with a topic that is something many people are struggling with, and that's an overall topic. It's more like a general topic related to social media, but it can be applied to all other areas as well as your work, and that is staying organized. And in this case, we're talking about staying organized on social media. And I'm really happy to have Meg with me. She's one of those awesome online figures out there. She's a travel blogger, very successful, and also a very, very helpful and kind person. So I'm very honored that she's with me today again, like the second time. She's also one of the 7 co-authors of my ebook. And she wrote one chapter for the ebook, and this is actually exactly about the same topic that we're talking about today, because she is somehow the most organized person I feel that are out there. So it was a no-brainer to ask her to join me with my project for the ebook, the Kicking It on Social Media marketing on social media, and obviously to make a part 2 of this topic. We talked about it last year again, and many people found it very useful. So I thought we'd just do a retake. And before I talk more, I just bring her in, and I'll try to add her. She is in Tasmania, I think. Yes, Tasmania, and I'm in Thailand. And I know not many people might be able to watch, but there she is. Hello.
Hi, how you going?
Good. How are you? You're
Good, thanks for
definitely
having me.
looking, yeah, thanks for joining me again. You're looking a lot clearer than I was just realizing that that's better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that
That
works.
my the light is a little dark in here. Outside it's sunny and hot, but in here the light is a little poor. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So I was just giving a brief introduction. I don't know if you heard it, and yeah, I'm really excited that we're doing a second part of this very, I think, important topic, because I also feel like many people struggle with it, and it's actually the number one thing that you need to wrap your head around if you want to be successful in life, in work, and also
Yeah.
obviously on social media. And you have some awesome tips, and also wrote a really helpful and very structured chapter in my ebook. And I thought we'd just talk a little bit about those points, not to give away the whole content of the ebook, of course, because people still should should read that. But I thought in general, I wanted to ask you a few questions, and maybe if you can just fill us in how your daily routine is, and what's your best advice for people who who actually struggle with staying organized with
Yeah,
social
sure.
media. So yeah, so
Well, I think it's one of those things that, I think it's one of those things that really depends on the person. If you work better with kind of written notes, or some people work really well with kind of online organizational tools like calendars and lists and Google Excel sheets and that type of thing. So I think the first thing is really identifying where you work well and figuring that out. Because, for instance, there are so many people who rave about programs like Asana. I think that's how you pronounce it, but basically online tools that help them keep calendars and keep working with kind of their teams and all that type of stuff. Personally, I've never been able to use those kind of free online calendar work task or organizational tools. I have a physical written diary instead. I've got it right here. It's all full of fun little notes.
that's
So I have to write my stuff out
And now I can see and
No,
hear
you
you.
really don't.
Okay.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Hang on. Now you're back. Yes, now you're back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, so I was just saying that the first thing would be to identify where you like the type of strategies that you work well with, because there's no point hitting your head up against a wall because you can't understand a technology that someone else has recommended just because they work well with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, figure out what works well for you, whether it's kind of lists or Chrome bookmarks, which is a big favorite of mine. I have the bookmarks on my browser in Chrome very well organized, and I have folders that I utilize for blog and then social media and then affiliate marketing and all of that fun stuff. And then within the social media folder, there's another 4 folders for, let's say, Twitter, Facebook, what needs to be responded to, all that fun stuff. So yeah, just kind of brainstorm whether you work well with a diary or whether you work well with bookmarks, or perhaps you work really well with organizing your inbox. So for instance, my Gmail account, I have anything that comes into my inbox I respond to straight away. Anything that doesn't get a response like within the first 24 to 48 hours has various folders, or it stays in my inbox, and that way I know I haven't responded to it yet. But other than that, everything else gets kind of organized and filtered into various different folders depending on the work type or depending on the, the subject line, that type of stuff. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing, is not necessarily adopting a strategy just because someone else says it works really, really well, but trying out a few different things and then making your own kind of organizational strategy based on what you've found works well for you yourself.
And I guess it's also helpful if you stick to a routine. Like, I mean, some people are like, oh, routine, that sounds really awful. I want to be flexible, especially if you work from home, or if you ditch the 9 to 5 and say, okay, I want to work remotely. But I think especially for those people, a routine is so helpful. I found, since I've been traveling full time, and I need to organize my day. I even need a routine even more than I did before. So how do you go about? I mean, do you plan ahead a month or the week or day by day? What's working for you?
Yeah, so as you said, like routine is kind of an ugly word that
Yeah.
most digital nomads hate, but
Yeah.
you really do need it, at least to some degree. So for instance, my routine, I have like a daily routine where I wake up. I'm fresher in the morning. You might be different. You might be fresher at night, but I know that I can do my best work as soon as I've woken up. So I wake up, I spend an hour or so going through my social media every morning, clearing my notifications. I know that I wake up, that's the first thing I do. Actually, the first thing I do, I have the bad habit of sleeping with my phone under my pillow. So I check my email notifications first, and kind of like filter out the spam emails before I wake up. So that way I know that when I get down to my computer, the only emails in my inbox are those that I actually have to reply to, and I don't have to kind of filter out the crap that's come through. So yeah, I do that. But the point is, I have a routine each morning that I do. So then after I check social media, I'll then start responding to emails. And then after I've cleared my inbox out for the day, then I'll start on the big task, whether that's writing content for the day or publishing a post or editing photos from a press trip I've just been on. So yeah, my morning is structured in terms of I know that I do like X, Y, Z. That might happen super quickly, but it's really good, and it keeps you on track knowing, okay, I know I've done this because I do it at this time in the morning. Facebook's done. I don't need to look at that again today. And then you get to the end of the day, you don't have to go, oh shit, like, did I respond to people on Twitter? I don't know if I responded to people on Facebook, just because in your mind you know which time you do it. And then you can spend the afternoon for free time doing whatever you might like to do, and that still maintains that level of flexibility, especially if you're traveling. You can then go and explore the new destination that you're in. So having a certain amount of routine isn't a bad thing. It actually helps you maximize the time that you have for free time or the time that you have for traveling, because otherwise it's just such a time waste. Like, 'cause otherwise you double back and you forget things and you might repeat things. So yeah, routine doesn't have to be an ugly word. It really can help you be efficient with your time so that you can maximize the freedom and flexibility that you're after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I embrace the word routine now. Before I was
Yeah.
gone away from everything that is like a structure and stuff, but now I've come to realize that it's actually very helpful and not that bad.
Absolutely.
And talking about topics, like if you post on, well, you post regularly on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I'm sure you have some sort of editorial calendar and something that is also an established routine for you, but where you know which post comes when, and do you use your papers, or do you have any tool for that, or how is that?
Yeah, so with Facebook specifically, once again, it goes back to knowing that there's a certain day of the week that I do XYZ tasks. So for my Facebook page, every Saturday morning, I sit down and I schedule Facebook for the following week, and I do that once a week. And schedule Facebook gets written down on Saturday in my diary, kind of thing. But then come Saturday, I'll go through and I'll schedule the posts that I know. And I'm at the stage where I know that I put up a Facebook post that used to be daily. I've recently changed that strategy to do once every 2 days, just because I was trying to optimize my time efficiency, and I decided at the start of the new year I needed to look over everything that I was doing and see if there were places where I could cut back without losing too much engagement or traffic. And I think that's also kind of veering off topic a bit, but I think that's also a really good thing to constantly do too. With your organization, you might get into routines for so long that you then stop questioning them or stop reflecting back on whether they are still efficient or whether they do still serve a purpose, like whether they are still relevant to your strategy for traffic or for engagement. So it's always good just every now and then to kind of take some time to reflect back over and do an overview of what's working and what you can maybe cut back on, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so I have the social media routine, and I go through and schedule once a week for the following week, and that way I only have to do it once a week, and then I can check engagement on it every day. But that means that I'm not kind of every day waking up and going, oh, what do I have to like put on Facebook today? And then you waste an hour doing that. You can just smash it out of the way once a week, and then it's done.
Okay, yeah. And do you use also, I mean, you just said it briefly, but you also do a lot of automation, like where you can, you schedule, obviously in Facebook, and when you do it, like on other platforms, do you use tools for that? And which
Yeah,
tools?
absolutely. So on Pinterest, I schedule pretty much 100% of my Pinterest is scheduled now, and I use Tailwind for that. There are tools out there that will allow you to schedule and automate multiple platforms. So for instance, I think IFTTT, something like that, if this then that,
Yeah.
that's a platform where if you schedule to Facebook, then it'll automatically pull it to Twitter and Instagram at the same time. I don't really like those platforms just because each individual platform has its own language and its own way that you'll need to phrase the language of your content and the way it presents content. So for instance, a photo on Instagram may not correspond well over onto Twitter, especially if you're putting like 30 hashtags. That automatically pulled over to Twitter is going to look really spammy, and people are going to unfollow your page because they don't want to see 30 hashtags in a tweet. Whereas on Instagram, that's fine. So I prefer to schedule my stuff through platforms that have been set up specifically for each platform, if that makes sense. So for Pinterest, Tailwind is a fantastic platform for scheduling and automating, and that does everything for me. On Twitter, I use TweetDeck, and that organizes all your feeds. There's so much functionality with that. It's fantastic. You can schedule tweets. You can organize your screen into columns so that you can only see what you're interested in, whether it's you want to follow a specific hashtag at all times, and then when you log in, that column will be specifically there for that hashtag. Then there'll be a column next to it with your app mentions, so you can write back to people who've mentioned you. On Facebook, I schedule through Facebook directly itself. So yeah, I would really what I've learned from my own experience is to avoid the platforms that allow you to just automate everything.
Oh, and there she goes. Now we lost Megan, or is it me that has a? Okay, hang on. I'll try to get her in again. That has never happened before. I usually have difficulties getting people in the first place, but there she is.
Hi.
We lost you for a second.
Sorry, it cut out on me. Yeah, I think I left off saying, I'm not sure when my phone disconnected, but Yeah, so basically just try and establish a balance, I guess, between time efficiency and organization, but maintaining the quality of your content on each platform. So you want to kind of find that balance, because there's no use putting everything to 100% automated if that means that the quality of your content goes to crap, kind of thing. So yeah, just, it's about finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And do you have, I mean, speaking of tools and in general, okay, you said you're using your paper and your diary, but any other tool that you can recommend for people just to keep maybe track of the tasks more than the schedule, like any tracking tools, progress tools?
Yeah, so there are a lot of progress tools, like online tracking tools. If you're working in Teams, Slack is a really good one. There's one called, I think it's called Asana. I don't use online kind of productivity tools, so I haven't used any personally. But I really utilize Excel spreadsheets, so super basic stuff. It's Microsoft Excel for me, or Google Sheets, which is just basically the online version of Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
Because you can do so many different things with spreadsheets, whether it's tallying your income and just keeping basically if you're in tax records, you can have a sheet for all of your income, your outgoing, and then obviously put in formulas and filters which automatically adds everything. That's a really time efficient way and a simple way to set that up. If you're trying to keep a content calendar of which social media shares you've done for XYZ posts, you can also do that in Excel, and I've got that set up. I have a sheet which has all of my posts that I publish. As soon as I publish a post, I put the URL into the Excel sheet, and then there might be 5 or 6 different columns or rows across from that where I tick, yes, I've shared this on Facebook, yes, I've shared this on Twitter, yes, I've shared this on Pinterest. And I find that way that if I do publish a post while I'm traveling and I don't have time to put it through my social media sharing routine, I can come back to it in a week's time and go, okay, I've shared this post on Facebook, this post has been put on Twitter, the rest haven't. So you can keep up with it that way.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I also wanted to talk to you about something that's a little bit more broad and maybe a little bit off topic now, but I did a poll in the group on Wednesday asking people how they feel about this topic, if they feel really stressed out and chasing their chores on social media, or if they feel at the end of the week, oh yeah, I ticked off all my to-dos, all my points on my to-do list. And basically I felt almost everyone who answered was very frustrated with the topic, and someone even said, oh, I'm done with social media in general because I don't feel that what I'm doing is actually getting me somewhere. So how do you feel? I mean, you've been around for quite some time and you do this professionally, you do it full time, and you use social media to market your content. Do you also notice something like a frustration or some sort of stagnation, or how do you feel about that?
Like it's definitely something that requires a lot of patience, and you kind of have to have long-term goals in mind. So for instance, if you're just starting out, and it also depends on which stage you're at with the social media platform. If you're just starting out, it's probably going to take at least a couple months up to a year to establish that audience where you have a rapport with your community, you have a community who looks forward to your posts and content, and you can actually count on the fact that if you post a link then it's going to be seen and people are going to engage with it. As I said, I've recently changed my Facebook strategy to posting once every 2 days because the algorithm changed, and I kind of reflected on what was working and realized that I didn't need to be posting daily. I was getting the same type of engagement doing it every second day as opposed to every day that I was, so I could basically cut out half the work I was doing on Facebook and put in half the effort but still see the same results. So I think if you're starting out, you definitely need to focus on the first platform as opposed to starting out and trying to master Twitter, Pinterest, and Facebook and Instagram at the same time, because they are specific platforms that people have presences on, and people are just Instagrammers and people are just Facebookers and people are just kind of tweet influencers based on their Twitter profile. So each profile does require quite a lot of work and could very easily be a full-time job. So if you are just starting out, I think it's important to at least focus on one and get a strategy for that under wraps, and to the point where you're doing it really well, and then start focusing on, let's say, Twitter after you've got Facebook to the point where you feel comfortable doing less hours but getting the same results, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Many of the platforms are kind of going to pay for play now too. So for instance, even if you have worked really, really hard on your Instagram, like my Instagram's sadly, the engagement after they changed the algorithms, I think everybody's experiencing that's gone down. So if you are willing to bring paid advertising into the equation, you can very quickly grow your Facebook page. As for instance, you can run ads. You can promote specific posts. So for instance, I've seen more engagement on some of the links that I posted on my Facebook page just from boosting that with $10 for a sponsored campaign than other people have sharing it on their Facebook page, even though they might have double or triple the followers that I do. So if you are willing to put money into building those pages, even like it doesn't really matter what your budget is, you can start from $10 if that's all your budget is, just to see what the kind of results are, and you can do it on individual posts as well as your page. So yeah, I think that like there is still value in social media, so it's not one of those things that I would recommend giving up on, even though it is frustrating.
Yeah.
But you just really have to kind of put the effort into a long-term strategy and really be willing to, I guess, embrace different types of strategies and to be flexible enough to change your strategy as it goes. But if you are starting out, try not to spread yourself too thin across everything, because the effort that you can put into, let's say, doing Facebook by itself might be 100%, but then if you try and do 3 different platforms at once, then you're only putting 30% of your effort into 3 platforms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the points I also stress in my ebook, because I think that's one of the big mistakes people are actually trying to do when they start out, because it feels like you need to be there, you need to be present on all the platforms, and if you're not there, then you're not doing it right. But and I know people that specifically choose a platform and they say, I don't want to be on Instagram because it's not for me, even after years of blogging, and they just found out it doesn't work for me, or I don't like it, because you also need to like the platform, because you have to come up with content for it constantly, and if you're not a picture person and you don't really enjoy researching for hashtags and stuff, then it can be really draining, and then it can even end up in some kind of burnout, social media burnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and then that's against the point, right? So yeah, I think that's a very very valuable point that you mentioned there, and I hope people are not giving up on social media, because it's also always an up and down, and we're still fairly, I mean, social media is not new, but I have a feeling that it's still in a phase where you can say these companies also try to figure out how it works, and then obviously they see success. I mean, how many users now are on Instagram, and of course they also want to make profit out of it, and then they change algorithms again. But that doesn't mean that the general content creator needs to die out just because they only want to make money. I think there will always be a mixture of paid advertisement from companies, and then organic growth and content creators. So I hope people listen to your words, and also maybe the content that we have gathered together in the ebook, because yes, I think a long-term strategy is always best to be successful, and there is no overnight success, I believe, unless you're really hitting the nail with one viral post. But you need to be lucky for that. Okay, cool. Any last words? Anything you want to add for our topic, organization on social media? Do you have any last tips to wrap it
I
up?
think just like I'm obsessed with folders, so just pretty much any way that you can figure out to make everything easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's, so I have a million different folders in my, whether it's in my Gmail inbox, or whether it's in my documents on the computer, and then I have folders within folders. So for instance, I can actually, I'll see if I can change my screen quickly to the computer, and
Yeah.
let's see if I can quickly show you my folders. Let's see. Okay, so kind of, but so I have my documents, and then I have a folder called SM, which is social media. And then so every time I go on a trip, you'll see that I put the photos in here, and I've got a folder for the Mapping Megan Facebook page. You go in here. These are all the photos that I can schedule. So I have one folder with quick and easy access to content. And then if you go back, there's one here for Instagram. And then I've put in like all of the photos that I can put to Instagram, so that when I don't have to, so for instance, this one I can probably put up like tomorrow or something. Um, so that way I'm not like, every time I go on a trip, I don't have to go, oh crap, like where are my photos at? What can I publish today? Just I've already got a folder full of stuff that I've already put in there, and I can just really quickly cherry pick. So yeah, just anything you can think to do at the time that'll make it easier for yourself down the line. Start implementing those as kind of a strategy, and that's what's worked really well for me in terms of maximizing my time efficiency.
Cool. Yeah, and if it doesn't work, you just try something new until you find the perfect thing, the perfect strategy for you. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, we can definitely learn a lot from you, and I know the theory, and I'm really impressed how you apply it actually, because yeah, I personally also have a lot of things written down on my sheets of papers, and sometimes I feel like maybe I should also change to something online, because sometimes it's a whole big mess. But on the other hand, I'm a physical person, if that's the correct expression. Like I need to see
Yep.
it and also write it down. So that's definitely working for me. But yeah, I
I
mean,
can't remember if I can quickly do a screenshot too. Now that I've figured out I can switch my camera. I can't remember if I showed you this on the last time we chatted, but this is my. Oop, I think that's frozen on me.
yeah,
I
yes.
think the camera's just frozen on a very flattering version of me. I was trying to change my camera to show you this spreadsheet, but it doesn't seem to be. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay, so this
remember.
is the spreadsheet I was telling you about. Yeah, and it's got. So I put my URL
Mm-hmm.
of the post. So this is the title of my post. I put the URL of my post, and then
Yeah.
whether I shared it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google Plus. The same spreadsheet does for my SEO. As you can see, I'm not really big on SEO right now. I haven't put the time into doing keyword research in a very long time. And whether it goes on Flipboard, and then over here I have my affiliates. So everything basically is all organized into the one sheet.
Wow.
And then down here, I've decided to basically test my social media, test my traffic statistics without that social media routine. So that kind
Okay.
of goes to what I was saying, but about like testing your strategy, um, and just changing it up a bit and trying to figure out how, like, new routines and strategies. But I've also made a note of that, so that because I have a bit of OCD, so that if I see like empty columns there, then I don't go, oh, I have to share this on Facebook.
Okay, but how long does it take you to set it up? I mean, this is already looking scary to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
like that's
Excel sheets that.
yeah. So that spreadsheet specifically, I've had for like the last 2-3 years. So like it might look intimidating just
Okay.
because it's completely full and it's filled in. But literally, it's very simple. Like all it is so column you fill in column A saying title, column B URL, and then in the next columns you go Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, whichever social medias you want to share something on, and then you just start slowly filling it in over time. So you put your first post in, and then just tick those boxes as you go across, and you'll put your second post in, and you'll do the same thing, and then after 900 odd posts, after a year or so, it'll look like an intimidating spreadsheet, but the actual basic crux of it is very simple.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, maybe we do a third part of that and an introduction on how to set up an Excel sheet like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this is so helpful, Meg, and thanks again for sharing all this. I hope people who are watching or will watch the replay also take notes and apply it to their daily tasks. And I hope it's helping you guys out there. And like we said, don't give up on social media. There's still so much potential in it. And yeah. Okay. So this was. If there are no questions, I think there are no questions today. Also, because of the time zones, I think there's not many people watching today. But anyways, I thought this was a great chat, very helpful information, and yes, thanks for being with us, and hope you have a nice weekend ahead of
Awesome.
you, an organized one.
Thanks, you
Or
too.
is your weekend a little less structured?
No, the weekends, I don't know what a weekend is.
Oh, okay.
That word doesn't exist in my vocabulary.
Oh my gosh. I almost
Thanks anyway,
expected.
though.
All right. Well, to everyone else, then happy weekend, and thanks again, Meg, for sharing your advice. See you next
Sure, thanks for
time.
having me. Bye.
Bye.